Jai Guru Deva. I hope I've pronounced it properly. This Sanskrit phrase means something like glory to the shining remover of darkness, or simply hail to the divine guru. Now, if I were to sing those words, many of you would recognize them straight away. It's the mantra that's repeated in the Beatles song Across the Universe. I'm a big fan of the Beatles, and as a 10-year-old, I sang along enthusiastically, without knowing what the words meant. It was only much later that I realized what richness lay behind them. Now, I'm not especially religious, but now, 50 years on, I find that the philosophy at the heart of Hinduism largely matches my own worldview, the way I approach my work and my outlook on life. Today is Mahatma Gandhi's birthday and the International Day of Non-Violence. And on the face of it, it's odd that such a day should exist. After all, there's no International Day of breathing, eating, or sleeping. So it seems that non-violence is not viewed as the norm, as a normality. It's not seen as something that goes without saying. And that's strange, because our society is largely free of violence. The vast majority of Dutch people behave in a way that is beyond reproach. We don't tend to go around punching each other in the face. Colleagues who disagree, whether it's at work, don't usually come to blows. And if they do, it's an isolated incident. An incident to which our justice system has an appropriate response. It works on the premise that violence is wrong, but also that people sometimes make mistakes. And unless you commit a serious offense, you don't have to pay the price for the rest of your life. Freedom is not worth having if it doesn't include the freedom to make mistakes, so said Gandhi. But he added significantly, the important thing is to learn from them. I learned about Gandhi's ideas towards the end of my primary school. I was brought up a Roman Catholic, but was always thought to be open to other beliefs. And I like the fact that Gandhi took the same approach. You can only grow as a person if you put yourself in other people's shoes. Gandhi was a striking individual, small, fragile looking, with those iconic glasses. And the man who brought the British Empire to its knees. He showed that you could defeat a violent oppressor by means of peaceful protest, patience, and dialogue. Since his death, the world has changed. 2 countries where Gandhi lived, India and South Africa, have been transformed beyond recognition. Europe, meanwhile, has enjoyed an incredible long period of peace. The Soviet Union has fallen apart, and China has become an economic powerhouse. In most places, but not everywhere, alas, the world has become undeniably more prosperous, more democratic, and more humane. At the same time, we are seeing greater self-assurance among people who, although they live in freedom, feel discriminated against, who feel they don't get a fair chance when they apply for jobs, who feel they are singled out for rougher treatment by the police, who question traditions. And there's a growing unease in society, a new polarization amplified by social media. Organizing a protest was never so easy. The distance between ordinary people and authority has never been so small. I'm curious about how Gandhi would have viewed all of this. Would he have applauded or condemned it? Would he have been on Twitter? Would he have been described as woke or a snowflake? In fact, Gandhi is not immune to the upheaval of the modern world. We saw that this year, 72 years after his death, when his statue in Amsterdam was daubed with graffiti. This act shocked the Indian community, and not only you. For many Dutch people, the attack on the statue amounted to an attack on the principles of peace and non-violence. Now, Gandhi was not infallible. We know that. And more importantly, he knew it too. For example, he was a strict vegetarian, but once he experimented with eating meat because a friend said he was too thin. Now, besides the fact that it didn't help, he was very honest about this episode, and he wasn't proud of it. Now, not long after the statue was vandalized, I spoke with members of the Indian community and shared my concerns. Just like Gandhi, a large section of your community have literally come a long way. From India onto Suriname, where your forefathers were put to work on the plantations, often in pitiful conditions. After that, many of them came to the Netherlands. Now yours is one of the best integrated communities in the country. Partly thanks to your approach to life. Modest, positive and forward-looking. Not looking back with feelings of jealousy or resentment. As Gandhi said, an eye for an eye will make the whole world blind. Paradoxically, the incident with this statue shows that Gandhi's teachings are still alive and well. And the outcry that followed shows how firmly the principle of non-violence is anchored in our society. But it also reminds us that we must cherish that principle, and on a special day like today, celebrate it. This doesn't relieve us of our responsibility to ask difficult questions. Does everyone feel at home here? Does everyone have good future prospects? And how do we get along with each other a little bit better? Nothing's going to change my world. The Beatles also sing as a mantra in Across the Universe. And let these lyrics remind us of how we must hold on to the core values of sympathy, empathy and compassion. We owe it to society, we owe it to Gandhi, and we owe it to ourselves. We must help each other to change our world for the better. Thank you very much.